Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and this is my latest tutorial. This is how to make the Highlander Kurgan sword. Easy project to make. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to give you a template. Let me know in the comments if you want a template so you can make it. The fun thing about this sword is in the movie, the spikes come out of the sword like this. So I worked it out with a rubber band so the spikes come out. That fun? Come on. But things you can do with rubber band, a little bit of glue, and some foam board. Anyway, let's launch into the intro, and then we'll do how to make the Kurgan sword from Highlander. Okay, so this isn't a whole build tutorial where I take you step to step. I'm going to just show you some of the more interesting things. And if you'd like to design or build your own swords for cosplay or costumes or any other reason, I'll give you some really good tips in this video. So the first thing you should do is start with some drawings to try to get a sense for, what the sword is going to look like. And in this case, for this sword, is how it's going to function. So I looked at a lot of pictures online of the actual sword, and I started with some quick sketches, and then I expand that to more detailed sketches so I could actually figure out how this mechanism is going to work. Because that's the interesting thing about this, is the mechanism with those spikes that come out. So there's the low position and the high position. It's almost like flippers on a what do you call it? A pinball machine. But we want to keep it kind of simple. We only have certain limits. Which reminds me, you could do something like this with either foam board or cardboard. So from there I started building some prototypes, just pinning them down on foam board just to try to see how this might function. Because you got to work out how the pieces will move and what gets in the way of other things. Like when it's moving, is it going to be obstructed by something, so. And I started to work out those details, and then finally I come to this. And that wire is actually important. I'm using it's kind of like a sturdy wire because it also pushes. So you pull it, but when you push it, it will push. So you can't use a string for something like this because you want it to push too. And then here, and I'll show you here, at the top is that wire. And then there's a wooden dowel that goes through a straw to keep it nice and straight and to keep it running smoothly. And then at the bottom there, I'll label that bottom C. That was A, then B, and now C is where it's attached to the rubber band that keeps the tension on it. And that's that. That's pretty much the setup for the mechanism of this sword, which is kind of interesting. And you can see how working out little mechanisms like this could give you all kinds of opportunities, all kinds of things. Like, take a look. And then I hot glued a little lever on it so I could push and let it release it like this, so there you go. Kind of neat. There's 1,000 different ways you could do it. This is the way I did it, kind of simple. And it works pretty good. So from here it was a matter of just, referring to the pictures and finishing off the sword. And if I could remake the sword, if I had the time to remake the sword, I would make it stronger, with more layers, so more durable. But for me, the fun was in the figuring out the mechanism and, making the sword and getting a kind of a simple sword done. And then from there, it was just a matter of painting. And the interesting thing about foam board and cardboard is when you paint one side, make sure you always paint the other side, because the liquid aspect of the paint will actually warp paper, shrink it. So if you only painted one side, it will shrink and curve. So always paint both sides. And if you put 2 layers of paint on one side, put 2 layers of paint on the other. Then a little bit of detail work. And I had fun. Now there's a third sword in the Highlander series. It's the katana, the samurai sword, which is a beautiful sword. I may do that one, not sure yet. See where I got time. I got a lot of stuff coming up. I got a couple more projects I'm hoping to get done before I go on my pilgrimage to Spain. If you want to follow along in my 500-mile walk, I do have some videos here on my YouTube channel. I also have a Patreon page where people can follow along more closely and get special bonuses like postcards. So if you're interested in this personalized experience like that with me in Europe, check out my Patreon. The link is in the description of this video down below. And that's it. Let's finish this off. And here's a picture of the completed sword. Yay! Not too bad. Thanks very much.